Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account who says, am I the arsehole here for telling my fiance that if he expects me to contribute 50-50, we have to make some serious lifestyle changes. My 26 female fiance, 26 male, sat me down yesterday and gave me a long talk about how he feels like I don't contribute enough to the household, particularly in the financial sense. I was a bit caught off guard by this, but was willing to hear him out, since he wasn't wrong. He makes a lot more than I do, and we've always split bills accordingly, which ends up being about 80% him. I asked what he wanted me to pay now, and he was adamant about it being 50-50. I asked if everything was okay with his job or if he needed to take fewer hours, and he wouldn't answer me. Honestly, wouldn't have gotten upset if there seemed like an actual reason behind it, but he just said he'd been thinking about it a lot, over and over. Every time I asked what brought him to this conclusion, what was going on, and eventually he just said, "This is how it's going to be, take it or leave it." Those exact words. In response to literally everything I said, full shutdown, no explanations. I told him that was fine, I'll take it, and then asked if he made a Zillow account yet, or expected me to. He looked confused and asked why would he need a Zillow account. I explained that there's no way I can afford half rent on our current place, so we'll probably have to move into a 1-bedroom apartment. He got mad and asked why I didn't have savings. I told him that I do, but I'm not paying rent out of my savings because that's a terrible and unsustainable idea. I also began to go over what our new food budget would be, our new entertainment budget, and that we'd have to sell the cars and get one less expensive one because I can't afford half of the payments on an Audi and a Land Rover. Then I explained that date nights would probably have to be reduced too, and we could still do like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, but I preferred Thursday nights because you get 2 orders of boneless wings for one. Basically, if he wants me to pay half, we're living within my means, not his anymore. He kind of agreed to it, but since then, he's been incredibly angry. He's not saying or doing anything, but it's like he's walking around the house in this cloud of pissed off. I sent him 6 Zillow listings, all of which he's called uninhabitable for various reasons. Some of which I think were valid, others I disagree with. He's now saying that I'm being unfair and manipulative, and that he tried to come to me with a serious concern about our relationship, and I'm making it impossible for him to talk to me and bulldozing over him. Am I the arsehole? The first commenter said, not the arsehole. Is he trying to break up with you and he wants you to pull the plug? And Al says, that was my first thought. He wanted to be able to make her the bad guy by casting her as a materialistic gold digger. Now he's in a position where she accepted his ultimatum and he needs to admit he's the materialistic one. Another commenter says not the arsehole at all, and you're making perfect sense in my mind. If he wants 50-50, he needs to understand that your income is the limiting agent in this reaction. If he does sound like he has something else going on, and I would mentally prepare for him to call the wedding off. This sounds like he is coming up with reasons to get rid of you in his mind, but he does not want to come off as the bad guy. Western Radish says not the arsehole, but this sounds a lot like the story about the woman whose husband said he was upset that she wasn't doing her makeup and cooking for him. Spoiler, it wasn't either of those things. I'd recommend sitting him down and having a calm conversation about 1, where this came from, and 2, where he sees a reasonable solution for both parties. Realistically, if you're having a calm and honest conversation, you'll probably only hit number 1. If you can't have that conversation, I would recommend couples counseling. This is a communication issue that needs addressing. Diligent says not the arsehole. I went through this with my now husband. For most of our relationship it was always 50-50, but then I experienced a job transition, which wasn't his fault. He made a lot more money than me, so I had to sit him down and tell him I couldn't afford our lifestyle anymore. He wasn't willing to negotiate on our lifestyle, so he picked up the rest of the bills. But we only found resolution by being honest with each other. Sounds like your fiancé is in financial trouble and needs to get honest. And there was lots of comments coming to all sorts of scenarios. One that we heard first of all, that maybe he's just trying to call off the relationship and trying to make OP do it. Two, that he's in financial trouble of some sort and he may be having a problem with his own job. And lots of other people saying, you know, if you want to demand 50-50, you have to live in the person who's on the lesser income's means. There's no other way around that. But OP did follow him with 2 updates. The first one said, "Hi everyone. This got way bigger than intended, so I figured a follow-up was owed." So last time I posted was Monday. Monday as a whole was spent just sorting through what I felt and what to do next. There was a lot of silence and a lot of anger and a lot of Reddit advice, some of which I found very insightful, some of which was less so. Also, some people think I made this up as part of a viral marketing sponsorship between Buffalo Wild Wings, Audi, and Zillow, which honestly would solve the money problems if true, but alas, is not the case. On Tuesday, after I got home from work, I sort of just walked up to him on the elliptical and explained as calmly as I could that I had questions, and if he actually wanted to marry me, he needed to be willing to answer them. I asked if he thought I was a gold digger, yes or no. He said yes. I told him that I wasn't willing to be in a relationship where I have to prove myself by sacrificing any sort of stability, and that led to a bit of a screaming match, and eventually a confession. So it turns out we cannot afford anything we have right now. We're in serious credit card debt. The cars are both on the verge of being repossessed, and I did not know about any of this. He's been cutting corners on actual necessities, including psychiatric medication. That, in combination with some comments from his family, led him to some pretty dark places. My fiance had a full breakdown and apologized for calling me a gold digger, which was nice to hear, but this whole thing had me pretty shaken up. I wanted to stay with a friend for a little bit. Yesterday, my fiance and I did in fact go out to Buffalo Wild Wings and get the 2-for-1 boneless. We talked a lot. I'm still writing fiance for now, and I really hope we can work through all this. We talked about how to sell the cars. We don't particularly have a choice at this point, and about my income, his income, and the sort of life we want to have. If we do stay together, we'll be changing how we live a lot. We need to get out of debt. We need to get on our feet. I know some people are going to say I'm being dumb for not immediately dropping all contact and giving up on the relationship, but I can't do that. I can't look at the guy I love, who went off his meds to try and make a good life for me, and think he's not worth sticking around for. At least to try. I don't know what the future looks like at all anymore though, and the wedding is very postponed at the moment. Sorry this wasn't a more fun update. So from there, OP comes in with another update that came in 2 years later and said, "We're out of debt." It feels so good to say that and have it be true. But as of 3 days ago, everything is finally paid off and we've made our way back onto solid ground. Almost 2 years ago, I made a post here about my 28 female fiance, 28 male wanting to split things 50-50 and my offer of compromising on lifestyle changes. As it turned out, he was off his meds and had managed to get himself into some serious debt, a little under 100k, trying to provide a life that we could not afford on a combined 155k a year. Things were rough. I almost left him a few times, but we have finally made it through to the other side. I handled the finances, 100% of the finances. I gave him a budget for buying coffee. It wasn't fun, but in exchange, he started doing more of the housework, so it evens out. We moved from our over-the-top apartment into a shared living situation, which, while not ideal, was leagues better than my initial plan of getting a trailer. We have roommates, but they're on another floor, so it's not too bad. And we have our own bathroom, which was my only real stipulation. We've lived like we're a 70k a year couple, doing actual 50-50 finances, and every extra penny he's made has gone directly to paying off the debt. We sold the cars, obviously, traded them in for a nice used Ford Maverick and a Vespa. That helped a lot. There have been no more lavish vacations or over-the-top restaurants with $500 price tags. It was rough for my fiance at first. He's always been very much a rich boy, and I think losing that as an identity was difficult for him. That being said, he's gotten so creative lately. It's been amazing to see. He will make me things if he can't buy me things, and we started cooking together instead of me having to do almost all of it. Our room is covered in the things he's made for me, and it's really lovely. We're still in love. We're still going strong, and we can finally start actually planning our wedding again. We're going to get our own place first, but the wedding is next on the list after that. I'm so glad that we stuck with this, and being on the other side is the greatest feeling in the world. Thank you to everyone who offered advice. I don't know how things would have ended up if I hadn't had the courage of my convictions. I'm genuinely grateful to those who directed me to Dave Ramsey and Caleb Hammer. Y'all are awesome. And on the back of this, there was many people congratulating them, saying well done for being out of debt and working together, all this good stuff. There was some comments saying, what is OP doing? She should have bailed out of that relationship a long time ago. But what do you guys make of this situation? Do you think it's a good ending or not? I'm pretty happy for them. Life's not always perfect, but it seems like they got things back on track, etc. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from ThrowRABluffCalled from the Relationship Advice subreddit. And just give you a trigger warning before we do get into the story. It does contain talk of suicidal ideation, threats, and self-harm. So if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Now let's get started. It's titled, Husband 37 Male Attempted to Manipulate Me 35 Female. I called his bluff. Now what? Throwaway because my family uses Reddit. I, 35 female, have been married to my husband 37 male for 5.5 years, and we have an 18-month-old daughter. We have generally had a good marriage, but have repeatedly had the same two arguments for 3+ years. The first argument is that I work full-time, pay 85% of our bills, and do all of the cooking, cleaning, shopping, laundry, running of the household, etc. He also works full-time, but after work comes home and immediately takes his work clothes off, throws them on the couch in my living room, and goes into the family room to watch YouTube. I've repeatedly asked for help and get the runaround. The second is that he has a small porn addiction and suffers from premature ejaculation. An issue in itself, but not our main problem currently. The last week and a half or so, I've been running 80 miles an hour getting ready for the holiday this week. I was cleaning the house, washing the bedding in the guest room, cleaning the fridge, doing all the bits and pieces you need to do to host family for Thanksgiving. I was also doing all of my daily things as well. For example, on a typical day, I would make sure his, mine, and the baby's lunches are packed. She's dressed for daycare, my work bag is packed, drive to work. After work, I drive to daycare to pick up baby girl, often taking meetings via phone on the commute. Do any errands that need done, grocery, Costco, pharmacy, etc. Come home, immediately breastfeed the baby. Start dinner so we can eat once he's home. Give the baby a bath, let her play while I clean off the table, do the dishes, clean the kitchen, tidy up, feed her again, and get her to sleep. And then finally take a shower myself. It's basic daily tasks, but I don't stop until 9 or 10 at night. Last week I asked again for help, but was told he needed the break because he is tired. I naturally told him that I never get a break, and I'm tired too, and need help with the house, and if he can't contribute half financially, he can at least contribute half of the cleaning. He shut down and just gave me the silent treatment for 2 days. Then he asked me if I wanted to go to his mother's house with him and the baby. I said only if he wasn't going to ignore me the whole time. That was the match that lit the fuse. He exploded. Evidently, I've done nothing but bitch for the last 3 years. He hates cleaning and isn't going to do it. That if him contributing is such a big deal, then we should divorce. I asked him to explain what that looks like to him. He said, I'll get an apartment and sign the house over to you. Refinance it in your name. We'll split custody 50-50 and split her expenses 50-50 as well. He then stormed out of the house and went to his mother's until about 1 a.m. He again gave me the silent treatment for 2 days. The other day I asked him how his apartment hunting was going and he said, what? I told him I thought he was right. I've been bitching about this for 3 years. I'm miserable and he's not making my life easier. That I agreed divorce is the best option and that would rather separate as friends and be good co-parents than grow to hate him and feel stuck in a toxic marriage. He then said, I only said that to scare you into shutting up. Basically, he attempted to emotionally abuse or manipulate me to get his way. As someone who grew up in a toxic and abusive childhood, This immediately shut me down emotionally. Like I look at him and feel nothing. He's trying now to get back in my good graces, bringing flowers, chocolates, and all it does is make me angrier. I need advice. Is the fact that he tried to manipulate me and admitted it a valid reason for me to just want to shut this down? Because I have to be honest, I'm tempted to ruin Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'm just angry and reacting out of that or if I'm truly at the end of my rope. Commodore says to OP, he's not just manipulating you, he's exploiting you. You're carrying the financial burden, all household responsibilities, childcare, and he tried to use divorce as a weapon when you asked for basic partnership. His admission that he was trying to scare you into shutting up shows he views your valid needs as an inconvenience to be silenced. You're already functioning as a single parent while bankrolling his lifestyle. The only difference is that you have an adult dependent who throws his clothes on your couch and watches YouTube while you exhaust yourself. The flowers and chocolates now aren't remorse, they are panic because his rational blackmail didn't work. You're not overreacting, you're finally seeing clearly. When someone tells you they'd rather divorce than contribute to their own household, and then admits they were just trying to scare you into compliance, believe that revelation. He's showing you he prioritizes his comfort over your well-being and will use emotional warfare to maintain it. You're not angry because of the manipulation attempt, but angry because it exposed the fundamental disrespect at the core of your marriage. He contributes minimally financially, does nothing domestically, and when confronted, tries to weaponize divorce to silence you. The flowers aren't going to fix this level of betrayal. AMK says he wants 50-50 custody, yet cannot manage 50-50 parenting with the other parent in the home. If he's somehow granted 50% custody, he's in for a massive shock. Top Put says good, let him learn. This man fucked around and it's find out time. OP, you've called a lawyer, right? You need to get the drop on him for filing before his mummy does it for him. And congratulations on your upcoming liberation from the sad freeloading limp dick you're married to. OP says I have an appointment with one next week for a consult. And what makes me laugh is my sister-in-law knows about the issue and 100% thinks his mum and dad are going to be angry with him. Evidently, they have told him he needs to step up previously. And one more comment from Routine Hotel who says, I'm telling you from experience, you're gonna feel amazing when you've ditched this arsehole. Coming home to a house that isn't used as a hotel by an overgrown child, not having to pander to his sulking, and just knowing you can raise your child in a healthy environment. They make you feel like a new person. So it was 6 months after that OP did update their post and says, hi y'all, it's been a while since I posted, but I want to let things play out and give you a full update. Firstly, I wanted to say thank you to all of you who responded and gave encouragement. You helped more than you know. I did it. I filed for divorce. Our divorce should be final mid-June. He fought it for a few months, but finally seems to see that I can't move on, and I won't let him rug sweep it anymore. He's still talking about hoping for a future reconciliation, but I told him that honestly, without massive amounts of therapy for both of us, I didn't see much hope there. Honestly, once he accepted that I wasn't giving in and that the divorce was real, he was very agreeable to discussing terms and working with me on custody arrangements, housing, etc. That's not to say we didn't have our drama. Lord knows we did. Fortunately, nothing too physical towards me. He grabbed me a few times trying to force me to stay in a room to get yelled at, but I set him straight real quick there. His threats were mostly towards self-harm. The first time was back in February. He was still in denial that I had filed and was very angry about losing the best things in his life. He threatened to go downstairs and take his own life. Because I'm stubborn as the day is long and don't have the sense God gave a goose, I followed him down there. I ended up wrestling his gun away and locking myself and toddler in the bedroom. I should have called the police. I still didn't know why I didn't. Instead, I called his brother and told him to come get him. They did, and the next day I took the gun. That was unloaded and never had ammo because he was manipulating me again, to his parents, and said if the gun made another appearance in my home or around my child, I would ensure he was never around her again. It hasn't been seen since. A few weeks later on their birthday, toddler and soon-to-be ex-share a birthday, he jumped off my 2-story deck after my daughter's birthday party. I didn't see it. I came down the hall and our 2-year-old said, Mama, Daddy fall. I walked outside and he was kneeling by my lawnmower. Said he was fixing it. Obviously my 2-year-old hasn't learned to lie yet. I text my friend and said I'm pretty sure he just jumped off the deck. He doesn't seem hurt, but I don't know what to do. As I hit send, I hear him on the deck talking to our kid. I looked out the door and he's leaning off the edge, obviously about to jump again. I lost it. It probably wasn't the appropriate thing to say, and I probably am a terrible person for saying it. But it worked, and I don't regret it. I told him, "So help me God, if you jump off this deck and die, I will move, and your family will likely only see her once a year. You jump off this deck and live, I guarantee you will never see her unsupervised again. You step back over that railing and get both feet on this deck right now, or I swear to God, I'll make sure of it." He stepped back on the deck pretty quickly. He of course then wanted to argue about how I'm driving him to this, how he doesn't deserve to be left alone. I'm breaking his heart. I reminded him he spent the last almost 4 years now breaking my heart and spirit, and I was done having this conversation. As I turned to walk away, this man grabbed my wrist to force me to turn around. I already had my phone in my hand and I never called 911 so fast. The police showed up and took him to the hospital for a psych evaluation. I was under the impression that a suicide attempt in this state requires a 72-hour hold. They released him after 2 hours, suggesting he talk to a therapist. I didn't want to involve the police. I tried to avoid it, but I wish I had involved them earlier. He has been much more docile and accepting since. No more grabbing, no more threats. We still argue, but at least the worst part seems to have disappeared. It helps that even his parents are telling him, "She called the cops on you. She's crazy, let her go." I'm fine with being labeled the crazy one. I've been called worse by better people. Thank you again. You all were the voice of reason I needed. You have no idea how many times I read those comments when I needed encouragement. I felt like I had no one in my corner. Nello says to the OP, "I'm glad you're aiming to be free. But from reading that, my heart and stomach plummeted, especially when you said he is more docile and accepting. This particular time is now the most dangerous for you and your daughter. He's unstable and has access to a gun. You need to insist he's never unsupervised around her. You need to stop being around him. I really hope I'm proven wrong here, but everything is pointing to him escalating." Impossible Dark says, "May be good to document all these actions with your attorney, and that he be required to have supervised visitation for the foreseeable future, regardless of how he is acting now. He still doesn't sound mentally stable enough to be a sole parent during his time with your child, or beyond some other actions such as abducting your kid. Sorry you've gone through all this, but I think your child's safety should be your paramount thoughts." OP replies saying, "Absolutely. I've made sure everything is documented and ensured he is in fact seeing a therapist. Fortunately, his time with our kid happens with his parents present, as he is staying there for now. They might not like me very much right now, but I trust them. They have made it very clear that I'm still family to them." And I gotta agree with those comments. I mean, whilst it's glad that OP seems to be getting out of that situation, it is a scary time. Like Nello was saying, if, the calm that he's showing that right now might be just masking the escalation rather than him accepting anything. I think on the back of this one, all we can really do is hope that OP does prioritize both her and her child's safety in this, because it's got all the warning signs of potential escalation from him, doesn't it really? Especially with access to weapons as well. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care.